I have Brad Garlinghouse, the president of consumer applications at AOL. Hey, Brad.
Mike, how are you?
Thanks for letting me come by your office. You've been here for 6 months now, almost exactly. You started in September 2009. Wanted to ask you how things have gone over the last 6 months, look forward a little bit, and just get your opinions on other things going on in Silicon Valley.
Fabulous.
What is it you own at AOL?
So my responsibilities here are what we call the Consumer Applications Group. It's a mixture of AOL's mobile efforts, mail, AIM, and ICQ, as well as the client bits, if you will. And that includes everything from our toolbar efforts as well as the traditional AOL client, which has close to 10 million people still using the AOL client in the United States.
So there's a big overlap between what you did at Yahoo and what you're doing here at AOL. There's additional pieces you own here. Mobile, for example, is one of them. But what have you done in the last 6 months? Some of these are housekeeping items. Some of these are brand new products, including Livestream, which you released earlier this week.
Yep. Can
you tell me, what you've done so far and then what the plan is for the future? In
a couple of high-level thoughts.
A minute or less.
A couple of quick high-level thoughts. One is, I think, at the most macro level, AOL is changing and changing dramatically. And that starts...
Really? Or you say that because that's what you say?
No,
because I hear the same thing from Yahoo, which we'll talk about maybe later. But,
yeah, I think
AOL's changing dramatically. How? They got spun off. What's different? Really, cutting through all the bullshit, what's different?
I think at the end of the day, when you completely change a management team, culture starts from the top. And the culture here, you and I walked around the office.
Yahoo's management team has completely changed.
You and I walked around this office, and I think we would both observe and agree that this is a very different place. It feels different. If you go to our offices in New York, it feels different. We used to have...
So morale is high, is what you're saying. There's a real
Morale
feeling here that you're doing something important.
Yes.
Which wasn't at AOL. A year or two ago at AOL, there wasn't that feeling.
I think there's a fundamental belief that we can win. And there's a fundamental belief that we are better poised today in a comfort and tolerance for taking risk, for focusing on the consumer experience. And I think, over time, AOL increasingly was focused on let's just do more to monetize. I don't have the history and understand exactly how those things came to pass, whether that was Time Warner pressure or what have you. But you see a company stepping back, and one of the things we did 2 months into my tenure is we did a refresh of AOL Mail. We took 65% of the ad units in AOL Mail out. That's a big change. It impacts the user experience, and it's a commitment to the consumer experience that I think has changed. And that's part of the culture.
Have you been able to measure the impact of that since then?
You absolutely can tell. And it's partly in just customer satisfaction, but it's partly increased registrations. People are, as people start to hear how AOL is changing and how the products are changing, they step back and they say, this isn't what I expected from AOL.
How many people use AOL Mail?
I think ComScore would say somewhere around the 25 to 30 million number, 32 million, I think ComScore says.
Okay, so, what else have you done? What was that, Project Hygiene? We talked about that earlier.
Project Hygiene, very much. How do we clean up some of the basics of what we're doing?
But you also haven't been shy about integrating with other third-party services. You integrated Facebook directly into AIM a month ago, a few weeks ago. And then the Livestream, which you wrote about, is an aggregator and publisher to social networks. You see more of that?
Well, one of the things that I think is part of the change at AOL is a understanding and focus about what we are and what we are not. AOL isn't confused about the idea that, hey, we're trying to be a social network. We're not. We're trying to create more social experiences by partnering with players who are very, very good at what they do. I don't think all of our competitors have gotten that same message that, hey, there's some very powerful and very, very good at what they do players in, particularly Facebook. And I think we take a point of view as evidence through AIM that, great, how do we partner with Facebook? How do we help Facebook, and how does that help AIM, and how does that help the user? Livestream is clearly another example of that. And I also think Livestream, even more so, is an example of us going from playing defense as a company to playing offense. That's part of that cultural shift where we want to innovate. We want to identify new segments that address core consumer pain. And I think, listen, we have a lot of touch points on the web, and the online consumer experience is getting more confusing. Livestream is a solution. It takes away a consumer pain. As a category that I think is going to continue to grow, and I think we have external data would suggest we have by far the largest social aggregation play in the market today.
If you take away AOL's dial-up business, which is I think it's decreasing a third a year, but it's still $700 million a year in free cash, right? Something like that. AOL isn't today a profitable entity. You talked about winning earlier. Is winning getting to the point where AOL is a truly profitable, sustainable, long-term company, or is winning mean something different to you? And how do you get there without that dial-up business, which goes away?
Yeah. Depending upon which analyst reports you look at, some of that may not be exactly the same. That being said, it's very...
I bet you have great numbers on your laptop.
I think it's very clear that we want to focus on building out a fabulous web services business, and that is primarily an ad-supported business. That business today is, I don't know what the analysts say the size is, but it's, quite large relative to most competitors, and we are focused on growing that business. How do I focus on winning? I mean, look, you know me a little bit. I'm a very competitive person. I want to win. In the immediate term, winning is probably measured by demonstrating to consumers as well as Wall Street analysts that we are engaging users and getting them to come back and check out our services and have great experiences. And as we talked about earlier, I think live stream is a great example of that. People, they're like, wow, I didn't expect this from AOL.
Let's talk about the future. Specifically, what to expect out of your group over the next, say, 12 months. Things you have planned that you're willing to talk about in broad strokes.
Yeah.
Things that we should start getting excited about now.
The first one I would highlight is we are clearly reinvesting in AOL Mail. And
it's hard to get excited about email these days.
And that's actually the reason why there hasn't been much innovation in email in a long time. I mean, listen, I'll pick on a different competitor. Gmail was profound when Gmail came out. Gmail hasn't done as much in the last 5 years. The interesting about this is there continues to be pain in the consumer experience, right? When you think about the inbox, it has proliferated, and there are more and more inboxes in my life, and that consumer pain is, not ideal.
Is the solution what Buzz has done with moving the social stuff into the Gmail inbox? Because that seems to be a pain for people as well.
I think Buzz, hard to, I don't know what to think about Buzz. I think...
I noticed you didn't integrate Buzz into Livestream.
At its core...
I mean, you even integrated MySpace into Livestream, but not Google Buzz. Was that just because it's such a recent product? You haven't gotten to it yet, or...?
At its core, email is definitely, I think, there remain opportunities to innovate around email. And if you can deliver fabulous experiences...
What's an easy, big thing to do to fix it, make email incrementally better, substantially better?
I do think that there are opportunities around inbox aggregation that have not been well executed upon in the industry.
Aggregation of Facebook inbox. What other inbox? We try AIM.
I mean, how many inboxes do you have in your life? You have a Facebook inbox. You have a LinkedIn inbox. You have a Twitter inbox.
Text messaging.
SMS. These are still. I mean, granted, these are things that the industry's been talking about for 15 or 20 years in unified messaging, and so I'm intentionally not saying, "Hey, we need a better unified messaging experience." My point is more to say when people talk about. There's a very funny Wall Street Journal article within the last 6 months, since I've been here at AOL, talking about how the kind of the death of email. The rumors of its demise have definitely been exaggerated. The most humorous part of that Wall Street Journal article was it concluded with, "Want to reach this reporter? Email her at," and it said that social networks are now larger than email. Every social network I know of requires an email address to log in. There's actually data amongst the people. Nielsen did some very interesting research about the heaviest social networking users are actually using email more now, in part because so much of the activity around social networks ends up in your email box.
So do you think by the end of this year, we're in 2010, do you think by the end of this year we'll see substantial products being released around mail that may convince people like me to use AOL Mail as their mail provider?
I think...
Or is it a longer time frame to get there?
No, I would...
Because, for instance, let me before you answer, Oddpost, right? You bought Oddpost at Yahoo. It was such a game changer. Is there something, whether you acquire or build, that you think can be a game changer this year for AOL Mail?
I think yes. I think that my goal this year for AOL Mail is for people to take another look, and for people to come back and say, "Interesting. I'm impressed. This is from AOL." we started to demonstrate some of that with the AIM Facebook announcement. We started to demonstrate that with the live stream announcement. And I think we can continue to do that, not just within mail, but across a number of things we're delivering at AOL. Mobile, a number of interesting things going on that I think at the end of this year, if the world steps back and says, this new management team actually is living up to its expectations, I'll be very happy.
So before you joined AOL, you were briefly at Silver Lake Partners.
Yes.
What were you, an advisor? Were you thinking of joining full time?
I was technically called a senior advisor. A lot of the private equity firms don't do EIR programs per se, but it's effectively an EIR. And Silver Lake at the time had not had as much depth in the internet space. Obviously a fabulous track record in doing hardware, etc. They've done a little bit more in the internet space and certainly are being more interested in that space. And so they had brought in a couple people who were more from the web environment.
So they were the big money in the Skype acquisition. Did you work on that deal at all? Were you looking at it?
Tangentially, most of the stuff I was looking at was in the Silver Lake Sumeru Fund, which is a mid-market fund looking to spend $50 million to $150 million checks as part of a $1.2 billion fund. Silver Lake Partners is a larger fund that actually is kind of semantics and details, but they did the big check it's I think a $9 billion fund, but obviously was a resource working with Silver Lake Partners as well as the mid-market fund.
So before that, you were at Yahoo, right? You left Yahoo in the middle of 2008.
I actually announced my departure in the middle of 2008, stuck around for a while to help some transition items, but then left Yahoo and joined Silver Lake.
And so Yahoo, you were head of, what was it called? You have Mail, Flickr, MASH, and Yahoo Instant Messenger.
Yes.
What else? What was it called?
The group for different incarnations, but CCF, Communications Community Front Doors. Then it evolved where Front Doors, which is the homepage of My Yahoo, came out. Okay. The gentleman Tapan Bhatt ran that group very, very effectively. Okay. But that was the core: Flickr, Mail, Messenger,
MASH.
Exactly.
That was a social network with Darth Vader and the banana, the guitar.
Yeah. The idea behind MASH, which I think you
don't
understand.
have to go into it.
The idea behind MASH I think is very interesting. It's really the wickification of people's profiles. Because even now, for me to go and participate and edit other people's stuff, you can't really do. And I think you can make a richer experience by having other people, particularly trusted people, participate in it.
Maybe we could schedule additional time to maybe go into more detail on MASH. But let's talk about some of the other things besides MASH that you accomplished at Yahoo. So you joined Yahoo when? What year? You were there for 3 years?
February, March of 2003.
So at the time, Mail was your huge product, Mail and Messenger, right? So Yahoo Mail was, number 3 player, number 4 player, and you immediately bought Outpost. Tell me a little bit about the first steps you took there to sort of make Yahoo the number 1 player in mail.
Yeah. It's actually, I think, it wasn't that long ago, but actually people forget how much has changed even the email space in those years. Really, the first thing we focused on was anti-spam. In 2003, Bill Gates came out and said, he's going to solve spam, and there's just a ton. It was increasingly a huge problem that the industry has obviously gotten more of their arms around. So we were better than our competitors at that time. It was really Hotmail and AOL, and we clearly had gotten a better handle on anti-spam, and we did a lot from a marketing point of view to take advantage of that. We bought Oddpost in the spring of 2004, which really, from my point of view, was the best deal that I was involved with during my Yahoo tenure. And it was, I think, a mixture of the right people there, the right technology bet, and that really became the foundation for the all-new Yahoo Mail, what internally at the time we called Candygram. And
it was the first mail application online that worked sort of like a desktop application using JavaScript. This is way before the idea of Web 2.0 and all these new startups came out.
Yes.
And it was a really nice sort of interface that people loved and continue to use.
It was incredibly well done. And
how did that help Yahoo grow?
Well, it really differentiated us in a pretty commoditized market. It put Yahoo Mail as doing interesting, different, innovative stuff. And, the number one reason why even today people adopt various email products is based on word of mouth, what their friends recommend. And when you get people coming in and trying a product and service, they're like, wow, that's great. They tell their friends about it. And you started to see increasingly a nice trajectory as people abandoned other players and joined us at Yahoo, us at that time.
Your handler's writing me a note. Unlimited storage. Tell me about the storage at Yahoo Mail. Was it unlimited or limited?
That was a game changer.
It actually is an interesting. I mean, I will willingly admit, particularly now, this is a handful of years later. Gmail launched, I think, top of mind, April 1st, 2004. And not surprisingly, internally at Yahoo, it got a lot of attention. And I give the team at Yahoo a ton of credit for reacting very quickly and changing the dynamics as quickly as we could for our users. And it's easy to launch with a gigabyte of storage when you don't have any users. Harder when you already have tens of millions of users to just light up a gig of storage.
And that's when you moved to unlimited storage.
It took us about, I don't remember, maybe a year. We immediately moved to 100 megs, then we went to 250, we went to a gig. But within a year, we went to unlimited storage. And we were just like, listen, we're just taking this off the table. Yeah. And it is, again, it's unbelievable to really step back and think 6 years ago, when you got a Hotmail account, you got 2 megabytes of storage for free. When you got a Yahoo account, you got 4 megabytes of storage for free.
It's not much spam. Can't store much spam at 4 megabytes. A few weeks ago, Carol Bartz defined AOL as a mini Yahoo. Is she right?
As you step back and look at the industry, and I think this is true broadly, I fundamentally do believe the first step to solving a problem is admitting you have a problem.
Has Yahoo admitted they have a problem?
One of the things I think is very clear to AOL is there's no confusion amongst the management team that we have challenges. Yep. And we have identified those, and we are being very aggressive about calling them out and working to fix them. I don't see our competitors universally. I think some of them have said, the language I hear is that, yes, there are problems, but I don't see the actions demonstrating that, in fact, here is how we are getting better as a company. I guess, Yahoo's a very, very strong company, and they make a lot of money. And I guess Carol, I think AOL has been very aggressive about defining a very clear strategy where we're going. When I hear Yahoo saying AOL is a mini Yahoo, I kind of feel flattered that they're going to follow a similar strategy.
Oh, come on.
I think there's no question if you look back.
So when Carol Bartz called AOL a mini Yahoo, the first thing that popped in your head is, I'm flattered. I thought we were going to cut all the BS out of this interview. We're really going to talk here. So
I think
where's the warrior saying, I'm sorry, no. We have a strategy. What's Yahoo's strategy?
But I think you are seeing the world ask that question. That question has been asked for a long time at Yahoo, and I think that is still, and it's not clear to me. I was actually very hopeful when the search deal was announced.
Should it be clear? Shouldn't Yahoo's strategy be clear to the world? They're a public company.
It should be. Maybe I'm not paying as much attention to Yahoo these days as I used to.
I don't know what it is. If they're, it's search. I'll save my rant for the post. But you think that as an ex-senior executive at Yahoo, you would have some idea of what it is their strategy is.
Yahoo was a fabulous experience for me. I thoroughly enjoyed my experience there. I obviously made a decision to leave based upon lots and lots of factors. What was the number one factor? I fundamentally believe that a company like AOL that's more willing to take risks and more willing to say, we're going to be aggressive in some areas, it's very difficult. There's a classic innovator's dilemma.
Is that what it comes down to? Is that AOL is clearly taking risk? I think everyone would agree. AOL with Seed, with all the stuff that they're doing on hiring 1,000 journalists on the other side of the business out of New York, the stuff that you're doing out here in California, although I think you're also bi-coastal, clearly risk is being taken here.
Yes.
Risk isn't, as far as I can tell, Yahoo is taking less and less risk over time. Is that really the fundamental difference, do you think?
Well, I'm not day-to-day involved with with Yahoo at this point, so I don't claim to have insight.
Just as an outsider. They've hedged with search. They've hedged with Facebook. We're probably going to go into a little more detail here than we have to on Yahoo, but I don't see where they're really, the big bets are being placed, if any.
The question comes back to, I think, if you step back, the 12-step process, first one starts with admitting you have a problem. And a lot of things should flow from that. And I give I give the management team at Yahoo credit for making some of the decisions they have. Obviously, they've sold Hot Jobs. There's something else they sold I can't remember right now. And there are, I think, continue to be opportunities to focus on a handful of areas where they want to be the best in the world. And that is, I think, directionally good.
What are those areas?
I don't know. I'll have to ask Carol.